All right, welcome. Today, we're jumping into one of the most complex and, honestly, fascinating case files I've ever seen. It's the story of a paranormal expert named Dakota Frandsen and how his life somehow became the center of this huge tangled web of connections that seem to stretch across lifetimes, different dimensions, and maybe even out into the stars. Okay, let's get into it.
But first, before we get into the weeds, I want you to think about this one question, because it's at the heart of this entire story. What if who you are, your memories, the people you know, your very soul, what if it wasn't all packed into this one single life? What if you're an echo of someone else, from somewhere else? Just keep that in the back of your mind. It's the key to all of this.
So our story really kicks off with two women, two catalysts who stepped into Dakota Frandsen's life and just started pulling at the threads of his reality. And as those threads started to unravel, the world he thought he knew got a whole lot bigger.
The first catalyst was a colleague of Dakota's, a woman known only as M. Now, on the surface, she was a complete skeptic, but the connection they had set off this chain reaction of events that was, well, anything but normal. A chain reaction that neither of them could have possibly seen coming.
So the case file on M is pretty wild. She's classified as a Terran human ET enhanced, which basically means a human with some serious extraterrestrial ties. The investigation suggests she's the current earthly incarnation of a being named Iveena. And this is so important because just her presence in Dakota's life was like a key turning in a lock. It started awakening these psychic abilities in him that he had no idea he had. It was like their souls recognized each other way, way before their conscious minds had any clue what was going on.
Okay, so if M was the spark, the second woman who entered Dakota's life was a walking, talking paradox. Her name was Olivia Frandsen, and her very existence just seemed to shatter the laws of biology and time.
Get ready for this one. When Dakota was just 12 years old, a young girl appeared to him claiming to be his daughter. I mean, obviously that's impossible. But this wasn't just in his head. Over the years, 15 other people reported seeing her, and always during these really intense supernatural events. The investigation eventually linked her to the Galactic Federation of Worlds, or GFW, which suggests her origins weren't just strange, they were literally out of this world. And the timeline of Olivia's life, this is where things just get bizarre. She first shows up as a little kid, but then, 16 years later, she appears as a fully grown adult with her own family. And then there's her brother Michael. His timeline was even more accelerated. He aged from a newborn baby to a man in his 20s in the span of a single Earth year. It's pretty obvious they were not operating on our linear concept of time. So far, this whole mystery has been really personal, right? All about connections across time. But now, it's about to expand big time. We're talking multiversal. This is the part of the story where a character who should only exist on paper seemingly steps right into our reality. So Dakota's research then led him to this really strange phenomenon surrounding John Constantine, the famous occult detective from the comics. The whole experiment kicked off with a pretty wild premise. What if this fictional character wasn't entirely fictional? So Constantine is a warlock from the Hellblazer comics. But here's the anomaly. His own creator, Alan Moore, along with other writers on the series, have all sworn that they've met him in the real world, a real person matching his exact description. So, is that just a crazy coincidence? Or could a character become so well known that they kind of manifest, like a thought form? This bizarre possibility made him the perfect target for Dakota's experiment in multiversal communication, which he called the Hunt for Infinite Earths. And during this experiment, this is what Dakota's phone captured on a sleep recorder app. An unknown woman's voice, clear as day, saying, "If you can hear me, Constantine wants you." I mean, that's just a chilling piece of data. It suggests that the wall between our world and other worlds, maybe even fictional ones, is a lot thinner than we imagine. Okay, so let's recap. We have a forgotten past life, a daughter who is biologically impossible, and a comic book character who might actually be real. So how does any of this connect? Well, this is where the story pivots. We're moving from an earthly mystery to a full-on cosmic revelation.
And the key to this whole puzzle lies with a species mentioned in the files, the Tashgaru. They're described as an ET hybrid species, known for having incredible intuition and what are called biological scanning abilities. Just keep that in mind because it's about to explain everything.
All right, so let's bring it back down to Earth. We have our two key players, Dakota, the investigator at the heart of it all, and M, the catalyst who unknowingly started this whole thing. But the real question is, who were they before they were here?
The investigation concluded that Dakota is the current incarnation of a Galactic Federation scientist named Elaryon Teunita. And M, well, she is the incarnation of his cosmic partner, a Tashkaru healer named Iveena, also known as the Star Angel. So you see, they weren't just colleagues on Earth. They were two halves of a cosmic soul, separated across lifetime. But how could they possibly prove something like that? They knew Olivia was an ET, but her mother was a total mystery. So they used AI. They took Olivia's photo and digitally removed all of Dakota's genetic traits to generate a portrait of what her mother would look like. And the image the AI created, it was so accurate that it triggered a flood of lost memories in Dakota. And it was at that moment that the consciousness of Iveena finally came through and confirmed her true identity. And just like that, the whole family tree clicks into place. Elaryon and Iveena are the cosmic parents. Their children are Olivia and Michael. The paradox is solved. Olivia wasn't Dakota's daughter from this lifetime. She was his daughter from another one, and she was reaching back through time and dimensions just to find her father. So, after all of that, what's the takeaway? This isn't just some wild sci-fi story. It actually points to a really profound idea about the nature of our own identities. What this whole story really suggests is that one soul can live many different lives, and that we can carry our relationships, our talents, even echoes of how we look across these different incarnations. Dakota and M, Elaryon and Iveena, they aren't really separate people. They're just different chapters in the exact same continuous story. And that brings us right back to that first question, but now with a totally new perspective. If this kind of thing is possible, then what about you? What about the skills you have that just feel natural? Or the connections you feel with certain people that are instantly deep? What if those parts of you aren't just from this life? What if they're echoes from another time, another place, another you? Something to think about.